All right, welcome to the candidate forum for our mayoral candidates for West Chicago. My name is Pam Zimmerman, a member of the League of Women Voters of Wheaton, and I'll be your moderator for this evening. I live in Winfield, so I will not be voting for any of the candidates participating in the forums this evening. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization that neither supports nor opposes candidates or parties for any office. The League is not affiliated with any political party. The League's purpose is to promote civic responsibility through informed and active participation of citizens in government and civic discourse. Providing opportunities to meet candidates is a major mission of the League of Women Voters, so voters can become better informed about the issues facing their community and become better acquainted with the candidates running for office. We're looking forward to a respectful exchange focused on the issues. We all benefit from a civil exchange of ideas rather than personal attacks. Our goal for the forum is that it will inform and inspire rather than divide. We do hope that the candidates will speak about their goals and plans and refrain from speaking about another candidate or what another candidate has or has not done. Participating in tonight's forum for mayor are Daniel Bove, Ruben Pineda, and Joseph Sheehan. The format tonight is a forum and not a debate. Candidates are expected to accurately represent the facts, and their responses reflect their own views and opinions. All candidates attending tonight have signed and returned the ground rules by the deadline established in the invitation. These rules specify the format, time limits, broadcasting of the forum, and other rules related to the conduct of the forum. The candidates will begin in alphabetical order by position with their 1-minute opening statements. They will then alternate the order in which they answer questions for 1 minute. After the question portion of the forum, each candidate will be giving a 1-minute closing statement, continuing our alternating pattern. A member of the league will be acting as timer out there so you gentlemen can see. All right. Candidates will see a slide to let you know you have 30 seconds, then 15 seconds, and then you'll see the stop sign. Should a candidate exceed the time limit, I will ask them to finish their sentence and then move on to the next candidate. To ensure the questions for tonight's forum represent a balance of topics, a panel of experienced members of the League of Women Voters has reviewed the questions submitted for appropriateness and to avoid duplication. We're grateful to those in the community who take the time to learn more about candidates before casting their vote by attending or watching forums. For those in attendance this evening, we ask that you listen attentively, turn off your phones and electronic devices, avoid commenting or disrupting others during the forum, and refrain from applause until the end of the forum. Finally, I want to say how appreciative we are of the candidates who are not only willing to serve in office, but who agreed to be here tonight to share their ideas and goals. So, let's get started. Candidate Bovee, you have 1 minute for your opening statement.
Of all the ways I could have become famous, I never once thought it would be as the greenhouse guy. But 2 years ago, that's exactly what happened. And as we struggled with our own situation and tried to tell our own story, our local infamy brought dozens of people to us with their own similar stories of injustice. This was our wake-up call. We learned then how much we loved this community that rallied around us and defended us. But we saw a huge gap between the priorities of a city hall, which was working for its own interests, and the priorities of the 26,000 residents of West Chicago. While the community is asking for a revived downtown, customer-friendly services, and help with water bills, City Hall seems focused on finding residents and buying up properties to build a $23 million City Hall. The job of the mayor is to understand the needs and desires of the community, ensure that the priorities of the corporate entity known as the City of West Chicago promote those needs and desires. That's what I bring to the table. I live in this community, I understand this community, and I will represent this community.
Thank you. Candidate Pineda.
My nickname in high school was Chastity, but I won't go there. What drives me to continue to do public service in the city of West Chicago, I grew up on Hawthorne Lane, I went to school here, I was a Turner Tiger, West Chicago Junior High, was a state wrestling champion, captain of the football team, go Wildcats, and I met my mentors here and my lifelong friends. With West Chicago providing all these priceless memories, I knew I had to give back. I've dedicated over 50 years of my life to this community. 14 years as an alderman, learning everything I could to get things done. I was the first Hispanic alderman in the history of West Chicago and the first Hispanic mayor in 2012 in the history of West Chicago. Very proud of those two positions. Again, 14 years as alderman, 13 years as mayor. It's sometimes people think it's a thankless job, but I enjoy it and I love this community, and I just can't tell you enough how much I love dedicating my life and I'm very proud of being mayor of West Chicago.
Thank you. Candidate Sheehan.
Hello, everyone. My name is Joseph Sheehan. My background is I grew up down the street. My whole family's been here for about 40 years. There was a farm that I bought from my family last year and heavily invested in the community. I have spent my whole life in this community. I would have shopped at Jewel since I was a kid. I would have gone to Sandpiper. I would have ate at Pal Joey's, ate pizza at Luigi's, got pizza at Dominic's. None of these pizza places exist anymore. I love pizza, as you can tell. I came back here after going to St. Francis. I went to St. Louis University where I was pre-med on the cross-country team. I went and did medicine after that and did an MBA. Spent a lot of my career kind of trying to climb that medical ladder. I went into business because I was doing successful businesses and I didn't have enough time to really focus on my patients. I came back here and I noticed that there was an issue with water and trash, and that was something that I really wanted to help clean up in this community, and I hope you guys will elect me so that I can do that. I really want to help the community in West Chicago. Thank you.
Thank you. For our first question, we'll begin with candidate Pineda. The city has paid consultants multiple times to develop a comprehensive plan, including strategies to revitalize downtown. Why have so few of these strategies been acted upon? Why is downtown West Chicago still not thriving?
Like it was said earlier, when you talk about the Elmers and the Lombards, and you know, it takes a long time to put these things together. This council and me as mayor, we've been able to put our first comprehensive plan together and our first strategic plan together. This should have been done with previous. I mean, I've been trying to work on this as an alderman and then now as mayor. And 2 summers ago, we almost had a shovel in the ground for our downtown redevelopment. It would have been 225 units. We have all the amenities we need to bring people here. And we need rooftops and we need density because we want to keep that home rule status and make sure that our downtown continues to thrive. So those plans are there. It's just important that, you know, but again, it takes time. So it will happen, and it will happen while I'm here. I had 2 goals. One was the business park. That's full for the first time in the history of the business park. And the downtown, we will get a shovel in the ground. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Sheehan.
So why is the downtown not thriving? There's multiple issues as far as I can tell. The train is an issue. We have a great train community here. Obviously it used to be called Junction, and that's part of the problem really, is that we have a lot of train traffic. The city had a funding for an underpass that would potentially have helped alleviate that concern. And then also people avoid that traffic stop pretty much off of Washington. If we have an underpass, it brings flow in. I'm not an expert on traffic, but I am an expert on federal funding. My company has won $3 million in grant funding from the EPA in this past year. I am very good at going after and winning grants. And to think that the city administration would turn down grant money is very difficult for me to believe. I would like to go after federal funding for this community, and I will fight. I think this community deserves federal funding because of the historical issues that it has, and I won't stop going after that money that I think that this community deserves. And I hope to bring in grant funding that will help downtown develop this as well.
Thank you. Candidate Bovee.
I think we've been locked in on a plan that was developed more than 25 years ago, which was unrealistic and has not worked. We have been buying up properties in the hopes that a major development, a $50 million type development would come into West Chicago. It has not happened, and it's not gonna happen anytime soon. As a small business owner, I realize that things are a marathon and not a sprint. And yet, if you're doing the same things over and over for 25 years and they're not working, you need to change. I think it's a great question why we're not doing the things that our strategic plan says. One of the things the strategic plan talks about over and over is less restrictive ordinances that would allow for more creative business uses. I've spoken with 8 business owners who tried to purchase property in downtown West Chicago and were driven away because in one way, shape, or form, they said it became such an odious process working with community development. So we're shooting ourselves in the foot. We can get into creative things, and hopefully we will later, but let's first start by not shooting ourselves in the foot.
Thank you. For our second question, we'll start with candidate Sheehan. Beyond the current Main Street Turner Court grant programs, what new initiatives would you implement to attract businesses to West Chicago, support existing small businesses, and reduce storefront vacancies?
So one of the biggest problems is that they've bought up all the property in downtown. So that is something that they used the Kerr-McGee money for. And I suppose in a ruthless business perspective, when there's blood on the street, buy real estate, and that's what this city has done. I don't particularly believe that that is a Christian thing to do. I think what that money should have been done is putting into the redevelopment of the actual downtown by bringing in businesses that know the expertise to do that. I don't think we should have bought real estate, but now that we own it, we have to figure out a way to utilize it. We need to basically either sell it off or we need to lease it at favorable rates to bring in blue chip companies, the likes of Panera, the likes of a Starbucks. Unfortunately, for a downtown area, whether we like it or not, everyone that thrives needs anchors. You need to bring in really good businesses that people want to come to and that we can bring in, and once we do, we will get that traffic. People talk about traffic coming from Cornerstone in the corner. No, they actually already come there to the train stop, but when they get off the train, they don't stop. They just get in their cars and go home. I want to change that. We need to change the flood.
Thank you. Candidate Pineda.
We already have multiple programs that help our businesses and bring in new businesses to the downtown. This past year, we brought in more businesses than we have in quite a while. We have grant programs, we have facade programs, we have money that's available to business owners. We give you $10,000 if you come in with a business plan. You get $10,000 to start your business. Your facade, you can get up to $30,000 for your facade to repair the buildings that are here now. The reason we picked up all those properties is because we want to make sure when a developer comes to West Chicago, they don't have to worry about the 2 words I never like to use, and that's eminent domain. So it's ready. It's ready to start. We are eliminating the houses that were blighted and the problems that we had with those homes there. But we felt it was important that once a developer realizes that they can come in here and just stick a shovel in the ground again, like I said before, that's important, and they won't have to worry about any kind of eminent domain. The properties are owned by you.
Thank you. Candidate Bovee.
Well, once we stop shooting ourselves in the foot by having a community development department that is overly restrictive, I think we need to play to our strength. There is an alternative to what we've been doing for the last 25 years, and that's to build small, to invest in small developers, to invest in small businesses. Let's play to our strength. That's what we do well as West Chicago. We are a community with so many people who work 60, 80, 90 hours a week to make small businesses run. And yes, we have some gems in downtown West Chicago, but the sad thing is that there's so few and so far between. So let's support our existing small businesses, encourage them to expand, bring in new small businesses with real grant money. We have $100,000 grants available now this year, and that's a great first step. But the fine print is that we only have $125,000 budgeted for the whole year. So that's not going to go real far. I'd like to talk about more creative options in one of my next turns.
Thank you. For the third question, we'll start with candidate Bovee. What is your plan to accelerate the replacement of lead service lines in West Chicago? Do you believe the current 14-year timeline is acceptable, and how would you fund a potentially faster replacement program?
I don't think that it is acceptable. If it was my family and I was told, you're gonna have to wait 14 years to replace your lead service lines, I would not personally be happy with that. As a mom or dad, which of us would be happy with that? And so when I saw the city plan, which had some of the residents not receiving service plan replacements until 2037, that was something that I was very bothered by. I think that the $23 million city hall plan that the current administration is pursuing is not a wise use of our money. I don't think that that is something the community is calling for. And I think as a starting point, that is a place where we should look at if there is no other place to get funding for replacing the lead pipes.
Thank you. Candidate Sheehan.
How do we accelerate replacement of lead lines? It takes money. So the first thing you need to do is you need to go after the money. I would go after interest-free loans that would be available to the municipalities. I would go after grant funding that is available for exactly this project. And I would make sure that West Chicago gets to the front of the line for all the reasons that I've mentioned before. Because of it, it's been historically disadvantaged, and it's had to do with historical problems. And therefore, we need to make sure that the residents of this community are no longer poisoned. We're gonna go out there, we're gonna get that money, and we're gonna basically clean up the lead lines so that people have safe drinking water. And we're gonna do a feasibility study to make sure that we can't get on lake water, or potentially do something just to make sure that there's no more issues in this community regarding lead or radiation in water or in soil.
Thank you. Candidate Pineda.
Well, we already have a program. It's already in the process. We are going to accelerate it with zero interest loans that are going to be supplied by the IEPA. We've applied for all of them. We want to accelerate it so much that it will be done in 3 years. Every household that has the lead will be taken care of. And we made that decision to take it past the sidewalk and up to the house. So it's a big project. I mean, but we're gonna get it done, and we're gonna get it done in 3 years, and way ahead of what the standard is going to be and what they're saying. We had that timeline. It'll be done way before that. It's important. We've got an old community, and you know, we've checked every line that we have here. We have about 80 homes that we do have homes that need to be cleaned up, and we're gonna make a priority to make sure that all of them get cleaned up in a timely manner, and we're not gonna wait for anything.
Thank you. For our next question, we'll begin with candidate Pineda. Please tell the residents what happened when the city stopped billing for water for 2 years, about 8 years ago. What steps is the city taking? Will you help the city take or to prevent something like this from happening again and improve transparency around water billing?
Well, we had a company that we hired that unfortunately was not a very good company. We did run into a problem. They didn't do the beta testing on it, so they couldn't backdate the billing. So we did run into a situation there. Then we had meters that their life expectancies were running out. But we took care of the problem in 2015. And what we did is we made sure everybody was going to be have time to catch up and pay their bills. We weren't going to charge somebody completely and make them pay it all at once. So we had them pay 4 months of billing every 2 months. And 70% of the people got caught up by 2017, and we are all caught up now. There are no billing issues, and we're caught up. So that when they talk about the water problem or water billing problem, there is no water billing problem right now.
Thank you. Candidate Sheehan?
So one of the things that I've done over the past couple of weeks is actually go door to door. Some people will have seen me, or perhaps my brother. We disagree. We don't think that the water billing issue is solved, because when you do go door to door, everyone talks about it. It's the #1 issue. It's certainly so much so that I made it the #1 issue to fix in this community. I honestly think you can go door to door, and it's the #1 thing that people want to talk about. They feel like they were targeted. They feel like basically that they were disadvantaged. I want to set up a website for any grievances that people might have and see if there's any refunds that need to be done. I know I have friends in Cornerstone Lakes that have gotten $15,000 bills. I have a friend in Trillium Farms that got an $8,000 bill. Couple of websites, there are a couple of months that are hundreds of dollars for some residents. We need to just basically make sure that everyone has accurate billing and transparency, and we need to do an audit to see if any money was basically pilfered from the system.
Thank you. Candidate Bovee.
It's not done. I know a family in Ward 6 that got a $25,000 water bill, and Jim's right, these were not isolated incidents. There's too many of these, and these people still have a lien on their house. I'm glad that we gave some people time to pay their bills, but we were giving out liens on people's houses when they could not pay, some of which still exist to this day. When I helped to start We Go for the People, one of our recommendations for the city is that we install an ombudsperson. An ombudsperson is a person in the city government who would have the ability and authority to investigate issues like this. I would like to install an ombudsperson, and I think that that person should, as one of their first responsibilities, look into this issue. I own a business, and it doesn't matter if I used a subcontractor or not. If I didn't bill my clients for 2 years and then came to them and said, now you owe me $25,000, I would go out of business.
Thank you. For our next question, we'll begin with candidate Sheehan. The city owns 100 properties, many vacant or razed. What is your specific plan for cleaning up or remediating and developing these properties, particularly the brownfield site at 119 West Washington Street that has been designated as hazardous by the Illinois EPA?
Yeah, so besides the water billing issue, which is more of a financial concern, I have a significant concern with radiation in this community. I know that a lot of people don't like to talk about this subject because it's not a nice subject to talk about, but I only recently learned of this about 2.5 years ago, and with the medical knowledge that I have, I was absolutely shocked. The gamma camera studies that have been done in this community are from the 90s, and they were done in a helicopter. We have drone technology now that can basically detect radiation quite easily. I don't understand why we haven't come back and employed that. There's not one EPA site, super site in this community. There's 3 that everyone knows about, and there was a 4th one that was in the unincorporated area that wasn't included because it was in an unincorporated area. My goal is to get to partner with a drone company. I spoke to one today that specializes in this, and they have agreed that we would work together to do a new gamma study with drones to make sure that there's no anyone in this community that is going to get sick or die from early cancer. That is my goal. That is the #1 promise I will make to this community if I'm elected.
Thank you. Candidate Bovee.
I think the question was specific plans for the empty properties.
Yes.
Correct?
I'd be happy to repeat it if
Would
you'd
you
like me
please?
to.
Thank you.
Certainly. The city owns 100 properties, many vacant or razed. What is your specific plan for cleaning up or remediating and developing these properties, particularly the brownfield site at 119 West Washington Street that has been designated as hazardous by the Illinois EPA?
Thank you. I don't think it was wise to spend the community benefit fund, which was somewhere in the vicinity of $12 to $14 million, buying up these properties. But now that we have, that is where we are. I think we need to change course. I think that we need to invest in small developments, small businesses. I think that starts with grant programs that put some real money towards developing new and existing small businesses. And then I think we need to get creative in investing in our blue-collar community and our hardworking small business owners. I think that includes things like a micro-business market. I think that includes things like a food hall, where people who can't afford $700,000 for a building downtown and another $250,000 to renovate it can lease a space. That begins to drive traffic, bring vitality, and make the space more valuable for future developers.
Thank you. And Candidate Pineda.
I just want to make it clear that the properties that were contaminated, we have reached every standard by the IEPA, the EPA, and the Nuclear Regulatory at the federal level. The last railcar thorium left this community it'll be 9 years in November. The property at 119 West Washington is long, but by the standards from the IEPA, the EPA, and the Regulatory Committee, if we don't disturb it, we don't have to remove it. We are planning to remediate that with the help of our senator, who got us state money to start that project, and then we can start some kind of development there on that property. But I just want to make it clear to everybody that we have reached every standard at every level, that this community is clean, and that factory site, which I grew up with, is going to become a beautiful 42-acre park, which I had the federal government, Sean Casten, get us $2 million for. Thank you.
The next question is, we're going to begin with Candidate Pineda. How can the city of West Chicago better serve its immigrant and Spanish-speaking community? Please speak to the adequacy or inadequacy of communication and outreach from the city to this community and your ideas for improving communication.
Well, you know, at 52% Hispanic, I mean, we do have a communication issue. But one thing that's very important that a lot of people need to know is that now the kids growing up in this community, the schools are dual language schools. So we're starting our kids at a very young level. Education is my #1 priority. I want to make sure that our children here in this community have multiple paths to take instead of that one that's usually not that good. But with the dual language program, with Educare that's here, and now with Pioneer School, we're going to be starting, you know, with Educare starts teaching our kids at 6 weeks old. Pioneer School is going to do the same thing, and so is District 33. So that's very important that we continue that path to help everybody start communicating and working with our residents. It was mentioned many times that we need to reach out to our Hispanic leaders, and I think we really should. I know I shouldn't have been the first Hispanic alderman, you know, in the history of this community. I think we need more communication.
Thank you. Candidate Sheehan.
So regarding improving communication, obviously, because of the large population of Hispanics in this community, we have to have translation across the board. I know that English is the primary language in this country, but you need to cater to the local community, and that's what I plan to do. You can see that on our website. We have a Spanish version. We translate everything when we get an endorsement on our Sheehan for Mayor WC website. You'll see English and Spanish. I also think that I've taken Spanish throughout my career at high school and at St. Francis and in St. Louis University, where I've received all A's, but I'm not going to say that I'm a perfect Spanish speaker at all. I love the Hispanic community. I think Mexicans are some of the hardest working people that you will ever meet. And I hope to basically make sure that all of DuPage County knows that we have the working backbone of the county and that they should appreciate West Chicago rather than treat it as the dumping ground of the county, which they plan to do by bringing in more trash dumps. That's something that I don't agree with.
Thank you. Candidate Bovee.
Esto para mí es bien importante y por eso he estado trabajando tanto para juntar un grupo de candidatos para concejal que entienden el español y pueden hablar con la gente que vive en sus distritos. So I don't know how that felt, but this is how many of our 53% of Spanish speakers feel oftentimes. They are wondering what is being said. And that's one of the reasons why I've worked so hard to put together a slate of candidates who speak Spanish and who are bilingual and bicultural. Oftentimes it's the bicultural part which is even more difficult than the bilingual part. And there are so many different ways that we don't even think about in which people who are from the Latino community don't feel included. And that's why we need to have those people at the table making the decisions with us. And that is how I plan to address that issue.
Thank you. For the next question, we'll begin with candidate Sheehan. Given West Chicago's tax burden, what specific municipal services or operations would you restructure to improve city services without increasing taxes?
So my goal is to actually try and decrease taxes. I think West Chicago has some of the highest property taxes that you will find, and I don't think that you can see the money being reflected in the community, which is why you pay taxes in the first place. I think the water billing, again, that's another issue that is my number one issue that I want to fix. I want to audit the water billing system and give money back where it was taken unfairly and make sure that people aren't still being prosecuted with that. In terms of trash has also been a fee that we have heard from people over on Klein Road and others that the fees have gotten significant as well. Which is unbelievable given the fact that we have 3 out of 3 trash dumps and they want to bring in a 4th, and yet they're paying high trash fees. To me, that just seems ridiculous. I want to do what I can to actually lower property taxes and lower fees and put the money back into the community and make sure that, and beg the community, this West Chicago community, to keep it in West Chicago. I don't want it to leak to St. Charles if it's Cornerstone Lakes. I don't want it to leak to Winfield or Wheaton if it's Trillium Farms. I want people to be able to come and spend their money in West Chicago.
Thank you. Candidate Pineda.
Well, I'm gonna bring up the business park again, because that was vacant for almost 20 years. And now the businesses that we have in there have not only helped our taxing bodies, but it's helped our community. You know, we have companies like, it took a year and a half to bring an incentive package to get together, and then we signed an intergovernmental agreement with all the other taxing bodies. They were a little skirmish at first, but now everybody's ecstatic. We brought in Suncast, 2 buildings, almost over 1 million square feet under roof. We have Norex, we have Greco, we have Amazon, and 300 trucks come out of there. So we're working hard. I mean, that really made a difference in West Chicago when it came to bringing businesses into town and helping our tax burden with the city. And I'm very proud of the fact that we were able to fill that. And now we're going to be fixing, with my partnership with the county, we're going to be making Fabian Parkway 4 lanes in order to handle that business park and the 1,000 trucks that come out of there a day.
Thank you. Candidate Bovee.
We kind of talked about a lot of things. Would you mind repeating the question one more time?
Certainly.
Thank you.
Given West Chicago's tax burden, what specific municipal services or operations would you restructure to improve city services without increasing taxes?
Thank you. Well, I want to address the business park. And I do want to say thank you, Ruben. You mentioned your years of serving West Chicago, and sometimes it's thankless. So thank you for your years of serving. And the fact that we may have differences of opinion doesn't take that away. But the business park is an example of what I think, what I don't want to happen with downtown West Chicago. The business park was initially intended to be a technology park. Technology businesses are very different from warehouses when it comes to the taxes that they pay. And so yes, we did fill up the business park with warehouses, but warehouses have very low tax rates that do not support the tax base. And as has been referred to, there are very expensive infrastructure and streets that have to be maintained for all of these trucks. And so in the long term, we can end up shooting ourselves in the foot by giving away the store. And I'm afraid that's gonna happen with the downtown as well, and I'm out of time.
Thank you. For our next question, we'll begin with candidate Bovee. What policies would you support to increase affordable housing options in West Chicago while maintaining neighborhood character? And how would you address the specific housing needs of West Chicago and its senior population?
When we had the apartment fire at Main Park last year, some of us were doing translation for those looking for housing. And a lot of those people that lost their homes during that time ended up having to move outside of West Chicago. And we lost those families, lost them from our schools and from our community. And so that is deeply important to me. One of the first things, one of the creative things that we could do is listen to our experts. Our strategic plan talks about creative uses of our zoning, and it talks about making more use of programs that would allow things like in-law units and secondary residences on lots. Some areas of West Chicago don't want that, and that's fine. But if some of the areas of West Chicago do want that, and I happen to think we ought to ask the residents what they want, that is a very inexpensive and creative way that we can build more population density.
Thank you. Candidate Pineda.
Well, right now, we have many projects that are coming, that the developers have come to West Chicago. We have one on North Avenue in Atlantic that is interested in bringing in probably about 150 units, more at a 50 plus and older over. We have one behind the Shell that it was the same project. We need rooftops. We need density, especially up in the North Avenue and 59 area, because we can't get any new big box business or anything else that's gonna come in there if they don't have rooftops to support them. So it's important, the downtown redevelopment, again, 225 units, it brings us people downtown. We have a walkable, beautiful downtown. We need people, we need density. We don't wanna lose that home rule number. So, you know, that's what we're working on outside of the downtown and the downtown, so thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Sheehan.
So my farm is located immediately adjacent to Trillium Farms. So over the course of many years, I have attended all the meetings for that development that went through, which is a senior development. So I have a very good understanding of some of the issues that are affecting that community. One of the issues is they didn't get a sidewalk with the when the community was built. That's pretty important for seniors because they do a lot of walking to get out and exercise. For me, that's an important thing that affects both the seniors in that community and the seniors off of Klein Road and Meadow Oaks. Some of the seniors there are the original owners that bought their house and they need to be looked after and they can't walk on that road. It's just too narrow and the cars are going too fast. So you have to develop ways to protect the people in the community. We do need more houses, but the infrastructure has to be there. When we're building houses, we need to make sure that there's, again, remediation of any previous radiation or thorium exposure that might be there and needs to be looked at. And then if we also have the opportunity to go after federal funding, and that should be, again, granted to West Chicago.
Thank you. Candidate Pineda, the next question will begin with you. How would you balance the need for government transparency with the legal requirements for confidentiality in matters such as litigation or executive sessions?
Well, executive sessions is executive sessions. That cannot be to the public. We have to have certain discussions when it comes to legal issues and employees and property but transparency, we've won awards for our transparency with our website. You know, we do not hold anything back. I'm very transparent. I try to have, you know, it used to be coffee with the mayor once a month so the community could come and talk to the mayor, ask him any questions. If I didn't have the answers, I would have them for you. I would get them for you. But we're very transparent when it comes to our audits, our government the questions that our residents ask. Our website, again, has won awards for our transparency. There's nothing that we're trying to hide, and there's nothing that we'll ever try to hide from our residents here in West Chicago.
Thank you. Candidate Sheehan.
So regarding confidentiality, I have attended City Hall meetings. I have been pretty shocked. I think they might be the shortest meetings out of any municipal meeting I've ever been to. They usually don't last more than 10 minutes, and they're pretty open and shut. You don't really know what's going on. Then they do an executive session that's closed, and you don't know. Why have, in this day and age, why are the videos only being put up on YouTube in the past couple of months? That should raise some eyebrows in this room. Everyone knows, if you've ever attended a county board meeting, they're all recorded. I've attended the City Hall meetings. Again, I think it's unbelievable. What I would do is, I plan to basically attend Mass at St. Mary's and every week, and I will be in the church basement for anyone that wants to talk to me. And then every Monday, I plan to be in City Hall the entire day and make sure that my office is always open so that people can come in and tell us what's going on in the community. And I plan to go door to door as well and continue that practice so that I know what's actually happening. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Bodie.
In 2022, without any input from the residents, the current administration removed the elected position of city clerk. This was not an isolated thing, it's part of a pattern. We removed the city clerk. 8 years before that, we removed the city treasurer position. We haven't seated a building board of review in over 15 years. Hiding the fact that there is radioactive waste at the property on Washington is not acceptable. There are radioactive pipes that have yet to be removed. The administration uses all kinds of ploys to deflect and not respond to legal requests, to FOIA requests for information. This is a pattern. I propose an ombudsperson, as I've said before. I propose quarterly town hall style meetings with city council where you not only can speak but receive answers to your questions.
Thank you. Since you raised the issue, the next question will start with candidate Sheehan. Should the city clerk position be reinstated or replaced by another type of role?
I'm not as concerned with the city clerk position as I am concerned with the city treasurer position. I think it is very unusual that we don't have a city treasurer. It doesn't show that we have the proper checks and balances in position to make sure that there's no funny business going on. When I look from a peripheral standpoint, I have an MBA, but I'm not very good with the numbers. I will admit that. But I see red flags. So I see construction projects that happened for multi-million dollars with not leased out. I see no city treasurer. I see water billing issues. I see red flags all over the place. And I know, regardless of what people will say, if you get an audit of a company, we all know Anderson, the list goes on of accounting firms and things like that have missed. Dixon, Illinois. We need to look at the finances of West Chicago because I don't see where the money's going. It doesn't look like it's going back into the community from my standpoint. Thank you.
Candidate Bovee.
We do need a city clerk. A city clerk fulfills some very important functions. The city clerk is the one who keeps track of our records and responds to those FOIA requests, which are so difficult to get answers to right now. We also need a city clerk because the city clerk is the one who would receive, for instance, an application to the Building Board of Appeals. Now, we have not seated a Building Board of Appeals in over 15 years. And those that have recently appealed to that board, where do their requests go? Normally, they would go to the city clerk. Instead, they go to the city administrator. The same person who in many cases is the one who made the decision that you're appealing. That's not any kind of an appeal. I think we need a city clerk.
Thank you. Candidate Pineda.
Nancy Smith was our city clerk for over 30 years, and God rest her soul. She was an amazing clerk. The skills that the clerk was handling was pretty much minutes and just making sure that the agendas were in the correct order for the city council meetings. The treasurer was removed per referendum by the people of West Chicago. We get audited on an annual basis, and we win awards every year for our audits. It's not like we're hiding anything, so, because we have to get audited. And again, we win, the GFOA, the Certificate of Achievement, every year from the state of Illinois. And not all communities get those certificates. We have been very clear about our audits. We get very deep audits every 4 or 5 or 6 years. There's nothing there that we're hiding. So we do get audited and we do win awards for our audits.
Thank you. Turning to a different subject, community events, we'll start with candidate Bovee. What's your vision for Railroad Days, including its location, scale, and accessibility? What factors would guide your decision-making regarding this and other community events?
Well, first of all, as Mayor Pineda knows, the mayor doesn't get to make all those kinds of decisions by himself. But there is one thing that I have heard from many constituents throughout all of the wards, is that they want to celebrate the things that unite us with parades and events. I think that many people have been sad that we haven't had a 4th of July parade. Many people have been sad that we haven't had a Mexican Independence Day parade. I think that Railroad Days should be celebrated. I think that all 3 of those events should be celebrated. And I think that our community can find a lot of unity in these things that we can celebrate together. And the train heritage makes Railroad Day so important for us. Our community has this amazing heritage of immigrants that came here from Germany, from Ireland, from Mexico, and built up this city. And
Thank
so I
you.
think we should celebrate those things.
Thank you very much. Candidate Pineda.
Well, I've always been a firm believer, and I've voiced myself to the council quite often when there was talk years ago about eliminating Railroad Days or other festivals. We have not had a better partnership in the history of West Chicago than we have with the Western DuPage Chamber of Commerce. They get contracted every year. They do a wonderful job. Mexican Independence Day is run by the Cultural Mexican Center, and they, the last couple of years, have decided not to have the Mexican Independence Day. We have great festivals. We have the food truck festivals downtown that now we have over 20 trucks that come there. Blooming Fest is known everywhere, and people come from out of state for Blooming Fest. So we have plenty of festivals. I'm a firm believer our residents need somewhere to go to relax and just enjoy themselves with the stress in their lives. So we do have multiple festivals, and they're fantastic. And again, Railroad Days, Pioneer Park is a perfect spot. It used to be at Reed Kepler, but we ran out of room. Thank you.
Thanks. Candidate Sheehan.
So one of the biggest issues that I see is we should be doing more parades and festivals. I was shocked to find out that the Mexican Day Parade was canceled. I think it's actually a perfect example of why we need change. There is a large Hispanic population in this community. We should be looking at that as a strength for us. Rather than cancel the Mexican Independence Day, why don't we have the largest Mexican Independence Day parade in the county? You would think that would be the more appropriate thing to do when you have the biggest population. Why isn't everyone from all over the county coming to West Chicago for the Mexican Independence Day parade and spending their money in West Chicago rather than us always leaking that money out to other communities? Everyone is going to everywhere else, but they're not coming to West Chicago because we're not giving them reasons to come. We need to be as good as we can at celebrating what we have. Railroads, everything, including our diverse population, we need to protect it.
Thank you. This will be our final question, and we'll start with candidate Pineda. How would you approach regional cooperation with neighboring communities and county government? What specific collaborative opportunities do you see that could benefit West Chicago residents?
I'm very proud to say that I have partnerships with almost every community, every neighboring community. My relationship with the county, with the state's attorney's office, with the sheriff's department, to make sure that our community's safe. The partnerships I have with these other communities, they envy West Chicago for what we're doing. They reach out, we have communication, we talk a lot, quite often with the other mayors. And I think it's very important to have those relationships. If you don't, you're not gonna get anything done. If you don't, you're not gonna work well with the other communities, and I don't think it's fair that, you've gotta have a involvement with the other communities, because it's important to see what they do. They'd like to see what we do. And, again, with the state's attorney and the sheriff's department, that would make sure we have one of the safest communities in the DuPage County. And the first place I took our new sheriff, or our new police chief, was to meet Bob Berlin at the
Thank you very much.
state's attorney's office.
Candidate Sheehan?
So we have a water treatment plant that is co-located or paired with Winfield. It was very expensive to build. If you talk to Winfield, one of the things that I asked to find out about was, were they having the same water billing issues that we were having? And their response was, no, we actually had to get an independent audit ourselves because West Chicago started charging Winfield residents. So we have failed in cooperating with other governments, and that's a good example. DuPage County actually owns the airport and the business park. They're the ones responsible for the progress that those have seen. When I talked to the DuPage Airport Authority Executive Director, his response was, we like West Chicago because they leave us alone. So they have done well in that business park and that airport because West Chicago leaves them alone. That goes to show you what's going on in this community. We need some change, for sure.
Thank you. Candidate Bovee?
Well, I think this is an area where we would agree that these relationships are very important across the board, and we would want to continue them. I'll give you one example. I've met with our new Forest Preserve Board member, Geezer, and we talked about some of the programs that they are doing. And I wish we could have gotten on board with this a little bit sooner, but they're building a bridge to connect Blackwell Forest Preserve with the Forest Preserve on 59. And one of the issues that I see is pedestrian safety. We've had 6 pedestrians killed in West Chicago in the last 2 years, in all parts of West Chicago, Route 64, 59, 38, other streets. And some of those are because people don't have crossways. So if we had been a little sooner in the project, and I hope we could still get something done, we could collaborate with them when they're building that bridge to provide pedestrian exits and entrances, which would have given our landlocked apartment neighbors a safe crossing.
Thank you very much. That was our last question, so it's now time for closing statements. The candidates will each have 1 minute for your closing statement, and we'll begin with candidate Sheehan.
So thank you very much for allowing me to attend. Again, my name is Joseph Sheehan. I'm second on the ballot. I want to help bring change to this community, and I'm willing to volunteer. I will not even take a salary. I will volunteer to help this community for the next 4 years. It's not something that I want to do for 14 years, because I don't think anyone should be doing it for 14 years. And they certainly shouldn't be doing it for 18 years. We need change in this community. It's the #1 thing, and everyone in this room knows it. It's about who do you want to change and what kind of change do we need. We need to stop people dying of early cancer. That's the number one thing that has to be done. And we have to look at that. And I definitely know that I have the expertise to at least help that situation as much as I can. I want to fix the water billing issues. I want to make sure that no one's poisoned in the community anymore. I want to make sure that there's no more trash dumps that go off of 59 and North Avenue, or over by North Avenue. I want to make sure that we get transparency with the treasurer, and I
Thank
want
you.
to make sure that we have a better community to live in, and I will help do that. Thank you.
Candidate Bovee.
For the last 18 months, I have researched the needs and concerns of this community. Here's the results of my research. West Chicagoans want a thriving downtown with shopping and eating options. They want a city hall that serves and helps the people. They want streets which are safe for drivers, bikers, or our children walking to school. They want to celebrate things which unite us with parades and events. They want a city hall which speaks for them and tells the truth. Here's what they don't want. West Chicago doesn't want a $23 million city hall that will drive up already high taxes. They don't want businesses driven away by a draconian and petty building department. They don't want people fined $1,000 for being late on their water bill. They don't want a city that sacrifices transparency for public relations. They don't want a city hall which operates to the benefit of a few. So ask yourself this question: which one of these three men is more likely to put the community first? And there's your best choice.
Thank you. And Candidate Pineda.
First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming this evening. It's a full house, so I appreciate that. We have 7 wards with different needs, common goals to continue to make this community where history and progress meets. We have accomplished a lot in the last 13 years, and we will continue. I will continue to make sure all voices are heard. I want to leave it better than when I came here, and that was 64 years ago. And I'm going to live those words every single day as mayor. I met two out of my 3 goals. The business park is full, and we're a great place to raise a family. We were picked 20th by Fortune magazine in the country. I'm proud in the direction we are going. I ask for you to consider where we are, where we were, and where we are going. As a city, when you go into the polling booths on April 1st, I'm honored to be the mayor of West Chicago, and with your vote, we can keep the momentum going. Thank you very much, and thank you, League of Women Voters.
Thank you. Please join me, audience, in thanking our candidates. And on behalf of the community, thank you for being with us. Our democracy thrives when all of us are engaged. Attending or watching a candidate forum is an excellent way to be empowered to join discussions on local issues and make your voice heard on Election Day. We hope each and every one of you will vote and inspire your family, friends, and neighbors to do the same. Information on how and when to vote can be found at vote411.org and the League of Women Voters of Wheaton website and social media. We hope you will take advantage of early voting that began yesterday, since Election Day, April 1st, falls during spring break. Recording of this forum can be found on the League of Women Voters of Wheaton website. Good night, and to the candidates, best of luck.